About family planning, I knew about birth control.
Yeah.
And like my parents'
Did your
generation,
okay,
who never knew about.
They didn't know about it.
I think they knew about. I remember growing up, I could hear people talk about birth control pills, but they feared.
They feared it.
They had like a bad vibe about the pills, and they thought they had like so many side effects that my parents were not. At her generation, most of them were not educated, so they didn't know a lot about birth control.
Yeah.
And then, even to make it worse, my mom had a friend who died, and then she developed, like an abscess, and it became infected. She became so sick, and she died. So that actually now made them even fear more about birth control. So in Africa and in Kenya, they don't talk about it.
They don't talk about it.
They don't talk about it. Even the way you can talk to your children here, people talk to their children about sex, about like for girls, periods. It's like culturally, that topic is never discussed. So. Yeah, like we said, because of education, like they were not educated, they knew nothing about birth control. They used natural birth control. Like us, my 9 siblings, we are all like 2 years apart.
Yeah.
And because they breastfeeding, I think protects from getting the next child. They breastfed for like a long time. So I think it protected them from getting children quickly. But that's the only method they used. So over time, like with education, people have become more educated and they have goals.
Yeah.
So school keeps you, being in school keeps you like occupied, so you don't think about starting a family early.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why maybe, like people, and also when you're educated, you have a job. You can't keep on getting like so many kids like they did because you have no time. Right. You have a job. You have a job to do. You have so many things to do. I think one of the reasons people had many kids like in Africa was because some kids died. I think that was the main reason, because they got many kids because they didn't know how many were gonna die in childhood.
A country which is currently the second most populated country in the world, I feel that it can be a challenge because I think it can lead to a lot of lack of resources, and if the population grows, it's really hard to keep up with the hunger and all the poverty and everything that comes along with it, because it's not always positive.
Yeah, there's a lot
impact along with the weather, and right now there is like a problem of homeless people even in America, and if the population continues to grow, I don't know, it can be a bigger problem later. Yeah, I think in the rural areas there is a certain wish for like a male child. So sometimes due to wanting a male child, some women are pressurized to have more kids, targeted for having a male child.
And
my mother, like my parents, they preferred having a nuclear family, which is like 2 kids. But my grandmom, she had like more kids. Like she herself, when she was growing up, she had I think 4 or 5 siblings, and my mom has 4 siblings. That's like a huge family. And like my mom mostly has sisters, so that goes back again to the whole gender thing of why there are societies, especially like in the villages where people are uneducated, they prefer having like a male son, male, as a someone who can like take the family ahead. But now it has it changed a lot.
Yeah.
At least like what I have seen, because I've been brought up both. I've had my education in the urban area, but I've been part of the rural area as well. Because like my parents, we did visit the rural place. Yeah. So like I would say, because people are giving more education about like sex education, like family planning education, that thing is improving, but like slowly.
Yeah,
that's what seems to be working as of now, because like people are becoming more aware, because like it's beneficial for them economically as well, because like for bearing, because in India education is not free. Like here in America, we have like public schools which are like free of cost. In India, even like government schools, even though they're like less pricey, but you do need to pay money.
Yeah.
And then again, that's where the thing comes about, you know, less lack of resources.
Yeah.
So if you have like smaller families, you can educate your children better. And I guess rural people are understanding that now.
Right. Conditions and wage parity for women in India right now?
It's almost the same as it's in America. There is like a big wage parity in India, but like one thing that is really nice is that I don't see in America is that there's like the maternity leave, which is like a really good thing because like in India there's like a long maternity leave for women, and sometimes even the father gets a paternity leave, which I think I was surprised I didn't have such good like maternity leave things in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta work on that.
And so in your opinion, how has population growth affected India's supply of resources? Being the second most populous.
So as I said, so being second most populous country in the world, there historically, like back in the 1970s, there was like a time period when India had nothing to eat right after colonization, and those years were the most terrible years. But now over the years, they've made agriculture as a bigger part of their economic way of earning money. So India is full-fledged. It has resources, but they're not enough. There's like food, because most of the people, a lot of the population is into farming, so the agriculture sector is huge and it like feeds most of the people, but it's not enough because as the population grows, as I said, lack of resources, it's there, but it's like bare minimum. It's not enough. And then again, with the population, the weather impacts. So sometimes the weather changes rapid, like because like I think last summer there was like very less rice, which is like the main source of food because of the changing weather, and which led not only led less of crops and like resources for food, but also led a lot of farmers to do suicide. So that's like a big problem now. So I think the supply and demand thing of resources is affected by the population, and it seems to be enough, but like in the future I think it's not going to be enough.
Yeah. And you kind of answered this, but how do you think population growth affects the climate, or perhaps leads to climate
the same
change?
thing. So right now, because of the growth of population and resources, people are living at a bare minimum. They're using everything which is bare minimum. But like, if it continues to grow, as I said, there are like rapid population changes, because there have been places last year where there have been floods. Like there was this city in South India called Chennai. It had like floods all over the city, and like for I don't know, like 4 weeks or something, and there was like no food, and people were like, and that city is known to be like really dry and like sunny, and all of a sudden there's like floods going on, and then there are like places where there's like rivers drying up. So and agriculture being the main source of income for these like in the rural areas, it really affects how they like survive, and like how they survive both economically and like
Yeah. And then, okay, just two more questions. So in your opinion, do you think if women delayed the age at which they started having children, that would lead to less population growth?
That could be, yes, because again, going back to the rural area where there have been like some culture practices which are not like, now obviously there's like the legal age of getting married for girls is 18, but like some people are really married early, like at 18, and some people were like married before. Not okay, there are like strict laws against it, but yes, getting, even if they do get married early, the thing that like, I think a lot of women don't like really have the choice of like not having kids. Sometimes they do have kids out of pressure, of like social pressure, like social stigma of girl not being having kids sometimes is seen as she being unfertile or like stuff like that. So there are a lot of social stigmas that come along, especially in a country like India, which has like so many cultures and traditions like mixed into the whole progressive thing of having kids and stuff. So yeah, that does come into consideration. So yeah, I think maybe if they had kids later, or maybe if they had like a chance to like consider having kids later, obviously you have an option of having abortion, but sometimes women are not just able to go through with it due to the social stigma.
Yeah. And I had heard even India, they kind of gave an incentive to women if they married after the age of 21.
Yeah.
Like in payments. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
heard of
yeah,
that, or
there
if you
are
have
a lot
thoughts
of
on that.
schemes. I'm not fully updated with them, but I
Right.
have heard like a lot of schemes, like because earlier before, as I mentioned, there was a lot of back in like few years back, there was a lot of female infanticide associated. Again, the pressure of having kids, of having a male child. So there was a lot of female infanticide where like women were forcibly made to abort their kids, like if they were as a female, which has stopped right now. And stuff like that, because there was like a scheme Beti Bachao, there was a scheme like that, and there are like other family planning schemes like Hum Do Hamare Do, which is basically translated into V2 and R2. So those are like, yeah, the government is taking incentives, but again it goes back to the thing that these people who in the village, they need to be educated about it.
Yeah.
So that's what the government is trying to do as of now, and it has made quite a lot of differences in a lot of places. Like India has, in the rural regions, India has become polio free, which is like a really big deal because in the last couple of years, India was affected by polio. So like these schemes are working out, and over the years, the male and female ratio has also like become stabilized, like compared to like last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those schemes kind of really work.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, this has been great information. I guess, okay, just one more question.
Sure.
So, and this is just in your opinion, do you think if everybody had say everybody had 2 children and the population levels out at 1,000 people, do you think if everybody doubled the amount of children, then that would just double the population? Or do you think the population would go even beyond that, I guess?
It might go even beyond, because you don't know, even if they like double their children, depends on how many children they had before.
Right.
So I think it's going to double the population, and I just think like right now we can see like these green trees and like patches everywhere. If the population doubles, you'll just see a lot of slums that you just see in India. The slums that you just see it only in India and other like Asian countries which are overpopulated, you might see them soon in Europe and America as well if the population doubles.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd say climate change is real and population does have a greater impact on it, and I guess everyone should do their part in whatever they can for the environment, and just see the warning signs and be careful about it. Yeah.